Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we're going to continue our coverage of the ongoing civil war taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia, and we are really going to focus on rumor control. Here are the facts. Again, rumor control, here are the facts. So, as we speak, within the last hour or so, it would appear that Abiy loyalist state media is declaring that Tigray Defense Forces are being cut off from the A2 highway via an advance or a move back into the Tigray region proper. So again, this media, these media outlets, then obviously the ministry of truth, so to speak, is stipulating that the A2 highway has been cut off by the Amhara regional militias and the Ethiopian National Defense Forces. Apparently, it was able to beam up a force east into the Afar region and then move those forces overland over very mountainous terrain and at some point sever the A2 highway. So again, we are here to dispel rumor, give the truth, give facts, give information on what is actually occurring on the ground. So we have noticed that when the Abiy loyalists, the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, the Amhara regional militias start to suffer setbacks, we immediately get a knee-jerk reaction from some of those corresponding media outlets. So in this case, it would appear that the Tigray Defense Forces, elements of the TDF, have launched a counterattack down the B-22 highway and have retaken control of Gashena. Now, the ENDF, the Abiy loyalists, are trying to articulate that the reason that they have moved, meaning the Tigray Defense Forces, have launched an operation towards Gashena, and then are now heading in a northern direction because they do not have the ability to move north and south along the A2 highway. So that really just simply does not make any sense. So again, we're having difficulty acquiring information if, in fact, any ENDF forces are operating near the A2 highway north of Waldea. We simply cannot confirm that. And again, hypothetically speaking, if in fact the A2 highway was for some reason cut off either by drone strikes or an active drone operation that was really omnipresent south of Kobo, north of Kobo, near Kobo Robit, that prevented movement along the A2 highway, the Tigray Defense Forces, again, largely being a light infantry force with some mechanization, still have the ability to go north in other directions north of Waldea. Again, that is not the only route north. And again, that's just to say that the Tigray Defense Forces are attempting to move north. So again, there I'm just showing you here on my map alternate routes that the TDF could utilize to go north. Again, it being a light infantry force would really have no problem at all operating to the west of the A2 highway in order to get north, if in fact it needed to get north. And again, usually we see this sort of response in terms of a hyperbolic victory reaction to a quite possible defeat. And again, past performance is indicative of a future result. And what we're seeing right now is setbacks by the Ethiopian National Defense Forces very close to Gashena and areas around Gashena. we can confirm that elements of the Ethiopian National Defense Forces and Amhara militias have sustained fairly significant casualties in ongoing fighting near the B-22 highway near Gashena. And again, Tigrayan Defense Forces are in fact maneuvering both to the south and north of the B-22 highway within the vicinity of Gashena. Again, their progress north along the A2 highway, meaning they, the Abiy loyalists, and the Amhara regional militias, have been stifled just south of Mersa. But again, we will let's say we give the Abiy loyalists the benefit of the doubt, and let's say that some force out of the Afar region has managed to deploy itself and temporarily cut off the A2 highway. Is that theoretically possible? I guess it is. But again, they themselves would be cut off from their own sources or their own main sources of supply, because again, the areas south of Weldia and north of Weldia have not been secured by the ENDF. So the exact same thing operationally that the Amhara and Afar regional militias and the Abiy loyalist forces are claiming to be doing, again, in areas that is very difficult to maneuver in terms of not operating along main arteries of advance. Then there's no reason why the Tigrayan Defense Forces can't do the same thing to the northwest of Weldia. So again, that just doesn't again really jive, but at the same time, it does meet the MO, the modus operandi of the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, the Abiy militias. When we start seeing setbacks and defeats, they immediately go into a hyperbolic narrative of victory. And again, even in some other channels too, we start seeing really, I think, unprudent narratives in terms of a final and decisive phase. Look, if you go back a year ago, the final and decisive phase would have been when the Tigrayan Defense Forces were isolated in the Tembian region. You could articulate that as a final and decisive phase. But as we know, that changed very quickly to where the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, the Eritrean Army, and the Amhara regional militias were then evicted from the Tigray region. And I can remember other channels talking about as the Ethiopian army, as the Eritrean army was closing in on the Tembian, it was the final and decisive phase. And as we know how that turned out, again, we saw those forces evicted from the Tigray region, then a massive counteroffensive. So to articulate that this is the final and decisive phase, again, let's be reasonable. Let's be rational. At this point, we're not seeing final and decisive phases with any area of this conflict. It is an ongoing conflict with no real final and decisive phases as of yet. But again, could we get there in the future? Either on either side of the equation, I would say possibly. But again, this is going to be a very long, drawn out, and lengthy conflict that is probably going to end up destroying the Abiy loyalist Prosperity Party economy. And again, if you folks are familiar with 1984 and some of the Orwellian newspeak, the Ministry of Truth, the Ministry of Peace, and again, they were just obviously the opposite for what their real intent was. In the Prosperity Party, again, I just think it ironic that the Prosperity Party comes to power, but the reality is well, did they take Ethiopia into prosperity? And one would argue, on whatever side of the equation you are on, obviously Ethiopia is not seeing prosperity under the leadership of the Prosperity Party. Again, Ministry of Truth, Ministry of Peace, Orwellian type activity there. But again, and even some of the verbiage that is coming out of the Abiy loyalist media in terms of, again, these hyperbolic narratives where they have defeated the Tigrayan Defense Forces allegedly, only to start seeing setbacks. And again, please understand what the war looked like 1 year ago, where the Tigrayan Defense Forces were really isolated south of the B-30 and east of the A2, and west of Mekelle in the A2, operating in the Tenbian. And at no point did any news outlet believe that we would be sitting where we are right now. And right now, wherever you're at on the side of the conflict, the operations, the fighting right now is in the Amhara region. It is not in the Tigray region right now. So again, I talked about this in a previous video around false narratives and where we really sit in the course of the conflict. But again, just trying to bring you facts and real information on what is actually occurring. And right now, again, we continue to see these setbacks by the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, quite possibly because they're escaping their drone umbrella. And obviously, the Turkish government does not want to be in a long-term civil war, supporting quite possibly a side that simply can never win. Can they possibly be never defeated? Again, very difficult to say, but you're looking at a very, very protracted conflict. And I think, especially for those persons who side with the Abiy side of the equation, the question is 1 year from now, when we see starvation and hyperinflation and a destroyed economy, are those folks still going to believe they are supporting the Prosperity Party? And I think that will be reanalyzed at some point, and sometimes that is a learning experience before you start to face facts. But again, we're just trying to bring you the facts of what is happening on the ground, and real information separated from the false narrative that we get from the side of the Abiy loyalist state media. So again, we'll have more soon, and we continue to get information. I'm not going to go into that much, but stay tuned. We have more to come. Have a good day, everybody.